Okay, here we go. We're going to talk a little bit here about the cards. Cards are going to drive the game, but this is not a card-driven game. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to draw a couple cards out here onto the table just to show you what they look like. And there's a particular one I'm fishing for. Give me just a second here. Of course, watch, I'll draw all these and not get one. There we go. All right. So I've drawn a whole bunch of cards here for the Tokugawa faction, and the Ishida faction is going to have a similar... I've drawn a whole bunch of blocks here for the Tokugawa faction, and the Ishida faction is going to have a similar mix of blocks. All right, so here's what we got. We have blocks that have a single mon up at the top. You have blocks that have two mons at the top. You count them vertically, okay? So this is a 2-mon block, or 2-mon card, and then you have another 1-mon card. Now this 1-mon card has a sword, has a samurai sword running vertically. These are the types of blocks that you can use in battle to deploy those special units, so your cavalry will have a much greater impact, or your arquebuses will have a much greater impact. Third type of card that you're going to have in the game, or fourth type of card you'll have in the game, is loyalty challenge cards. These are mostly useful in combat situations. Here's what the cards do. On the lower right-hand corner of the blocks, or the cards, you're going to also find a initiative bid number. Before each game turn begins, you're actually going to bid for which side has the initiative for the A and B turns that week. Let me draw an Ishida block here just so you can see one, or Ishida card so you can see one of those. Here we go. You'll notice that the Ishida cards have a bid impact, a bid initiative number that are odd values, and then the Tokugawas are even values. So you're never going to have a tie when it comes to initiative. In order to move any of your stacks of blocks around the map, you have to discard a card. So when you discard, the number of cards you discard will dictate how many of your blocks can move and how many new blocks from your reinforcement pool can be brought into play. Similarly, in order to, when you have a combat situation, in order to rack up a victory, you have to score more impact points than your opponent if you're the attacker. If you're the defender, you can win by simply matching the number of impact points that the attacker did. Now, to rack up impact points, you have to discard cards from your hand that will actually match the block that you're deploying into that battle. So that's where these symbols are really, really important. There's not a lot of information on the cards. You just look at the symbols on the cards. That's the most important piece of information there. And then for the initiative segment, you look at the initiative number. All right, now let's start to put all this together here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all these cards, discard them all, and we'll go ahead and set up the board. Let me go ahead and reshuffle everything. We're going to go ahead and set up the board just like it would be at the game setup time. Okay. Now, we've got all of our default guys that are going to set up in their default locations. They're already deployed on the map at start here. So what we're going to do is here in the Vassal module, what you do is you draw blocks one at a time from these randomized stacks. Now, in a physical game, the game actually comes with a bag that you can put all the blocks in and draw them out. Personally, I think the bags are a little bit too small for that to work comfortably, so I like to use the box lids instead. And that also can work. But you mix all the blocks up and you draw them out randomly. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Tokugawa ones first. We're going to put one there, and I'm going to reveal these as I draw them so that everybody can see what everything is. Now, obviously, in a face-to-face game, you would have all of this stuff concealed. And we're going to put two. There we go. And what's that one? A 1? Yeah, 1 over here. Okay, I think there's one more, yeah, way up north there. Alright, I think I got them all there. These are all of the blocks for the Tokugawa faction. Now let's look at the Ishida faction. There's going to be some here at Osaka, too. So put them there. And there's going to be I think I missed a Tokugawa one here at, what is that? Kanazawa. By cracky, that's actually a castle. I think I failed to mention that as a castle. The blocks were kind of obscuring it. That's another castle on the board. So actually, the Tokugawa faction has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 castles at start, and the Ishida have 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is actually an odd number on that. My bad. Blocks do not have to stack in a particular order. You can stack them however you want. This is just like your ordinary block game where the effect of the block is basically to conceal information on that block from your opponent. And put these two at Gifu. And by the way, if you can feel free to expand these stacks, just don't move them around on me. If you expand any of the stacks, they'll just expand for your own viewing pleasure. I think I got one more over here. Did I miss anything? Somebody shout out if I missed something. I think I got them. Oh, Kyoto. Okay, I think I got them all now. Taking another quick scan across board, make sure I got them all. Okay. On the map, also, you'll find that there are certain cities that have a mon, one or two mons next to them. In either black or yellow boxes. What that signifies is those are reinforcement locations. So now that we've set up the board, we're actually going to draw some blocks into our reinforcement pools. So I think each player is going to get 4, as is shown by the number 4 or +4 in the recruitment pools on the right-hand side of the map. So there's our recruitment pools. Now, in order to bring one of these blocks into map, ideally you can bring them into, first of all, you can take any one of these blocks and put it into any one of your recruitment cities, whether or not it matches the mon. But if you want to bring in more than one block during a recruitment, during a it's actually called muster in the game. If you want to bring more than one new block from your recruitment pool onto the map, you have to do it in such a way that they match the mon of that location. For example, I've got 2 of these blocks here that's got like these sickles on them. That's the type of mon. If I wanted to, I could bring just one of them onto Aizu, even though Aizu does not have a mon matching this particular block. But if I bring both of these blocks on at the same time, if I want to bring both at the same time, I'd have to actually put them in Osaka, because Osaka has a mon matching that. So that's where they would have to go if I wanted to bring both of them on. So that's what the use is of those symbols on the map. Okay, so that is the game board setup. Next thing we're going to do is draw cards into our hand. And actually, I'm not going to use the hand windows. I'm just going to draw them right off here and put them just around the map. So there's the Ishida hand. They're going to have 5 cards at start. Start of the game, everyone kind of starts a little slow with only a couple cards in their hand. You only have 5 cards. Later on, you might have as many as 14 cards in your hand. So do the same thing for these guys. Now, once everybody's got their hand drawn up, then we can go ahead and begin the sequence of play, which is really quite simple. Make sure I get this right. Now, here's how the sequence of play works. Basically, each week is going to consist of an A turn and a B turn, as we stated earlier. So, first thing you're going to do is what's known as the reinforcement step. During the reinforcement step, you're going to draw a number of new blocks from your pool into your recruitment box. So, on turn 1, on week 1, you'll notice that there is a dash here, right above the 1. There's a dash. That means we're not going to do that on the first week. Second week, we would actually draw, each player is going to draw 2 of these blocks and put it in their recruitment pool. And then down on game turn 5, it's going to reduce to 1, and so forth. So that's the first thing you do at the start of a weekly cycle. Now, the player that has the most resource centers under their control. That's those locations on the map where you put your cubes. The player with the most resource locations on the map gets an extra draw from their pool into their recruitment box. So let's say, for example, we're on week number 2. Let's imagine for a moment that the Tokugawa faction had control of Kuwana. So they have 2 cubes on the map down at Edo and Kuwana, and Ishida only has Kyoto. So actually, Tokugawa would get an additional third reinforcement draw from their recruitment pool into their recruitment box. So the other player would be stuck with just the 2. So that's where those cubes controlling those resource centers can be important. So once you've done your reinforcement draw, the next thing you do is you determine turn order. And how that works is each player is going to secretly pick a card from their hand and place it face down on the map. So what I would do is, if I'm the Tokugawa player, I'm going to pick one of my cards. And here for turn 1, I'm going to take this card and put it face down in front of my opponent so he can't see it. And that's going to be my bid. Now for the Ishida faction, I'm going to take one of these cards, similarly, place it face down. Both players do that, then you reveal them. And you look at the number in the lower right-hand corner, and whoever has the highest number gets to determine whether they want to go first or second during both the A and the B turns. So in this case here, the Tokugawa faction, I had them play a loyalty challenge card because it's got an enormous initiative rating on it. And in the early goings, I don't really see a need to have 2 loyalty challenge cards in my hand. So I would play that one to make sure I had the initiative. And I'd say I definitely want to go first. So to determine that, we take the turn order block and we flip it over from the Ishida side to make sure that we have it on the Tokugawa side, showing that they're going to be the one that goes first. Then both of these cards are going to be discarded. And by the way, if the Ishida player ever plays a card for initiative, if they ever bid just 1, they will always lose, because the smallest initiative bid value that Tokugawa has is a 2. Okay, so we've bid for initiative, we've determined the turn order. Now we just go through the A and B turns. Here's how the A and B turns work. The first player is going to move his blocks around and engage in any battles that result from that. You do all your movement first, then you do all your combat, and then your opponent does similarly. All his movement and all his combat. Now here's how you move. This is really, really easy. You buy movement by discarding cards from your hand. Now both players were compelled to discard a card to bid initiative, so they now only have 4 cards in their hand. Card management in this game is huge. And so you want to pay attention to make sure you don't fall behind the curve to where your opponent has a larger hand than you do. So in this case here, what I could do is I could discard 0, 1, or 2 cards from my hand. If I discard 0 cards from my hand, I have the opportunity to discard cards from my hand, any number of them, and draw a corresponding number from the deck. So let's say I got a hand and it's just a handful of garbage. It's not useful to me. I could basically discard nothing, move nothing, and redraw my hand if I like. The other thing I could do, if I discard 0 of my cards, is I can make a minimum move, which allows 1 stack to move. Now, because the Tokugawa faction only has really 3 cards here that they can fight battles with. The loyalty challenge card doesn't allow you to deploy a block into battle. It allows you to challenge the loyalty of an enemy block deployed against you in battle. Because of the weak hand at the moment, I would say I would take my Tokugawa faction and do a minimal move, discarding no cards from my hand and allowing one of my stacks to move. All right, so only one of my stacks is going to move, and here's how we're going to do it. When you activate a stack, you form the stack. If you're going to split a stack apart, for example, I'm going to take this big hunk here at Edo, and I can move some, none, or all of those blocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stack of them. Let's just take a mix of them here.